It's the rhythm of the city, 94.3 WYBC. I am Wanda Coppage, back here with you on another Sunday evening with another great guest. Now, this one's no stranger. I am certain and sure of it. You have heard this man's name. You've been to a party and he was the DJ. You've been somewhere with this great man. And today we get to hear his backstory and how he landed here with all the successful endeavors he's been pursuing. His name is Herman Ham Jr. So,
Junior,
Herb, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for agreeing to do the electric drum because I know you are YBC family. You are
Yes,
not new to this, but I don't think we've ever had the opportunity to hear an extended version of your story.
you're right. You're right. I've been around YBC for years. Even before being family, I used to listen to YBC back in the day growing up. So I've
Nice.
definitely been around for a while.
Well, we know there are a couple of different promos because you have a couple of different things coming up. We'll get to that later. But right now, you have established yourself as a successful DJ, a successful promoter, Herman Ham Group. So I want to ask you, I read your bio. One thing I didn't know, couple of things I didn't know, you are actually from New Haven. You're from Connecticut, New
Oh
Haven.
yeah, I'm born and raised. I grew up in the Hill, Davenport Avenue, right across the street from the emergency room, Yale New Haven Hospital entrance. So I
Right.
live right there, the corner of Davenport and Vernon. My mother was a professional dressmaker. She used to hem everybody's pants in the neighborhood. She did all
Nice.
the
So that's
wedding
why you're so
gowns.
fashionable.
Yes. Yeah, she did all the
Exactly.
wedding gowns and prom dresses. And I run into people now that say, man, your mom did my granddaughter's dress so yeah, we were very, very popular and known in the community.
And do you have siblings?
Yes. So I have a brother, Eric, who's younger than me by a few years, and I have a sister, Gwen, who's a few years older.
Okay. Okay. And are they still here in the New Haven area?
They're here. My sister moved up toward the casino, so she's in Norwich near the casino. My brother lives in East Haven.
Okay. So my question is, before you became a DJ, you started as a promoter, correct?
Yes.
Now before we get into that journey, would you say your upbringing here in New Haven is what kind of catapulted you into this entertainment industry? What influenced you to be a promoter?
So I've been going to parties since before I can remember. Before I was 21, I was kidding. My
You're
sister
telling on
was
yourself.
my sister was very popular. They used to call her New Yorker Gwen. Her
Okay.
father's from New York. She's very trendy. She used to wear all the Dapper Dan, the Louis Vuitton stuff. So they called her New Yorker Gwen. I was known as Gwen's little brother. Oh, that's Gwen's brother. So I used to go out. I loved music, loved partying back in the Montego Bay days.
Okay.
Cat Club, Brick and Wood, all of those back in the day spots. So I used to go out a lot. I used to go out. I loved music.
Hmm.
Back then, never thought of being a DJ, but I loved music, and that is what pushed me into the direction of I want to start doing some events and parties and hiring DJs to do local around the city.
How old were you? Around what time? When was it that you decided I'm going to do my first party?
Probably 23,
23.
24, somewhere around there.
Do you remember what it was? What was the first event?
So I don't remember the first event, but when I go back to my memories of first events, plural, is and God rest his soul, rest in peace, the one and only Biz Markie. So
Wow.
Bismarck, when he went from being a rapper going into DJing in the beginning stages. So I used to hang with Biz. He was friends with my sister. I used to go to Long Island. I would hang out with him. So I had the pleasure of hiring him. There was a place called Planet X,
Hmm.
and it was on Whaley Avenue by Diamato's and Fish and Domino's Pizza at the time. So there
Hmm.
was a place called Planet X. I bought Bismarck there to DJ. He came down to that Afro American Cultural Center down on Yale. So I used to hang with him and hang out, and I can remember crazy stories with me and Biz. Man, let me tell you, he was a comedian. He was really a comedian. He was a funny dude. He was, just
Oh,
I'm not gonna stay on the subject, but a long time ago, we're in New York at this club, and he's telling some women in the club, because I had dreads then, so I'm bald now,
yeah.
telling them that I'm one of the members of Das Effects, and they're coming up asking for autographs. It was hilarious. It
And
was
they believed
hilarious.
him. That's funny.
Yeah,
Were your dreads short at the time?
long.
Long.
They were like
Wow.
they might have been like a little past shoulder length, but everyone knows, everyone locally, my dreads have went all the way down to my waist. And when the pandemic hit, I decided to cut them.
Yeah, I want to get back to that. We're going to stay with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
first show, but we got to figure out why you decided to change your look and what that did for you, because from the time I met you, you've had those long dreads, and this
yeah.
is a change.
Uh, so let's say that age and time
Age made the
hit.
decision for you.
So let me tell you, it was the hardest thing. My hair have been a conversation to many people. I love the dreads. It was, to me, my signature look.
Yeah.
And man, hairline starts receding, you start thinning. I started getting the crown, and I said, let me think about it. So let me say I procrastinated and said, I'm gonna cut the dreads for probably 3 years.
Okay.
Maybe 16 to 19, 2016 to 19. And I think the problem was I kept calling my stylist at the time, this girl Tanya, who was doing my hair, and I make an appointment. Hey,
Hmm.
my hair's thinning. I'm gonna come in and let you cut it and get it done, into a style. So I kept making appointments and I kept canceling the appointments. So when the pandemic hit, I'm sitting in front of the mirror one day and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna just walk in there and cut it. Because the appointments, you schedule it so you can
Yeah.
change your mind. And I went in there, and it was a hard moment, but I had scissors, sat right there, and barbershops wasn't open, so it wasn't like I can get a hairstyle. So I
Right.
kind of went through this little phase. I said, you know what? I'm gonna cut it and leave a few inches because I want to have a little small afro. So
Right. Right.
my hair was looking crazy. And I
Sometimes
went
when
on
when
Facebook
you
one
do
time and people were like, nah, you need to just cut it off.
go ahead and
That,
finish it.
that whole little afro and little curl thing.
It
So
wasn't working out.
it
But
wasn't working out.
sometimes when you are facing a big decision like that, impulse, doing it on the spur of the moment, on a whim, is what will push you over, because if you sit there and think about it too much,
Yeah.
it will never get done.
Yeah. I had dreads for 20 years and wore a
Wow.
lot. And people don't know it. They probably said, oh, yeah, this dude is always fashionable. His hats matches this. I wore a lot of hats because even with the dreads, it was thinning. So I wore a lot of hats. I used to wear a lot of fitteds and
Yeah.
fedoras. And I love fedoras. That's my thing. But I
Hmm.
wore a lot of hats because of that reason back then.
Yeah, and you still wear the hats, but it's a part of your grown man look. That's the
Yeah, well,
brand now,
I love the
grown man.
fedoras, and yes.
Absolutely. So let's go back to the promoter business. You said
Mhm.
the first string of shows you were working with Biz Markie, you had him come into Planet X and he performed at Planet X.
Yes, he DJ'd at Planet X. This was when he first started being a DJ. So
Okay.
he was way under the radar. He wasn't kind of known as much as he was in his later years as a DJ. I mean, he was first starting to be a DJ, and I brought him down here. He was at Planet X. We had a nice show at this venue. And then I'm not sure if I got him a gig booked at Yale. I know he also was at Yale, and I went over to that show with him at the Yale Cultural Center.
Nice. Before you decided to make promoter your line of work, to be a promoter, did you do school?
Did I go to
Like,
school for
yeah,
Hill
college,
House?
university?
I'm a graduate of Hill House High School. I didn't, I went to ECN, Educational Center of the Arts. I was heavy into graffiti back then. I had this whole graffiti crew I used to roll with, TSB.
Wow.
I was into breakdancing. I had a breakdancing crew that I rolled with, the late great Stezo E. God
Oh
rest his
yeah.
soul. I was in a breakdancing crew with him. Me and Dooley O, we
Hmm.
started a graffiti club back then called TSB. So I went to Educational Center of the Arts, and I loved art, and I just the whole form. I loved music, I loved art, I loved dance. So I was involved with that early on.
I am just in like Wow, a lot of information I did not know. Like, for
Oh yeah.
instance, as much as I rep Hill House, why didn't I know that you went to Hill House? That's
Class
crazy.
class of '87. If you
Nice.
go on the internet, there's some old videos of me breakdancing. I mean, John Davis. Shout out to John Davis. He was the founder of a breakdance club. Me, Steezo, Brian. There was a bunch of people that was in it. And man, I went on his page one day. He put up a video. Oh, I was probably 80 pounds or something. I mean, and I used to have the Kid and Play high low. And oh
Mhm.
man, this video was hilarious.
So, with you being heavily influenced by the arts, why not join a hip hop group? Rapping wasn't what you wanted to do or wanted to pursue?
Let me tell you, I loved the whole thing with rappers. I love DJs. I never wanted to be a DJ back then.
Mhm.
Maybe a rapper. I was into the rapping, so I
Okay.
did sit home and write some rhymes and stuff like that. So I never pursued it, but definitely rapping would have been something too, because I love getting into that whole, hip hop back then. It was Sugar Hill Gang.
Mhm.
You had Dougie Fresh and them, LL Cool J, a lot of the old school artists. So I did love rapping, but just never. Yeah, I don't think I was good enough.
Got you. Okay. A lot of talent, a lot of competition, especially
Yeah.
around that time. So,
Yes.
college, did you attend any universities? College?
No, no. I took a computer technical support. I went to Catherine Gibbs. So,
Okay.
I went to that. They were in Norwalk. So I went to Catherine Gibbs, took up computer technical support, wanted to fix computers and stuff. I had a few things I was rambling around, but yeah, I went into fixing computers. And that never I didn't go too far with it. I finished, but I didn't pursue that.
Got you.
So yeah.
Well, it's not a loss because, like I said, you're doing a lot and you're successful as it is. By the way, if you're just tuning in, this is Herman Ham Jr.
Junior.
from Herman Ham Group. We're speaking with him about his journey to getting to where he is now. Speaking of Herman Ham Jr., talk to us about that because that's another thing that I did not know. Many people probably don't know you're a junior.
So yeah, I'm a junior. My dad, he instilled me with this junior type. Growing up, it was tough. Let me tell you, it was tough growing up because Herman by itself and then Herman Ham. There was a lot of jokes. Let me tell you, Herman Ham was tough to grow up with, and I promised myself that I wasn't going to pass that on to my son, to my kid. It was tough growing up, but my dad, he was heavy in our life, and he died early on. He died early on. He died at 42 years old, colon cancer. So
Wow.
we were young. We were young then. But Herman Ham, he passed on the junior to me. So, like I said, growing up, it was tough. And it's funny now because people think that it's sort of like a celebrity made up name. I'll go
Hmm.
places and I'll finish and they got to write me a check or something. They'll say, okay, who did I make it out to? What's your name? And I'll say, Herman Ham. And they'll say, oh, I thought this was something you made up for,
Hmm.
your for DJs. And no, this is my name. So
At least
it's,
the ham part I did. Like, he goes ham on the
yeah,
DJ table
yeah.
type thing.
Let me
It
tell
fits.
you, it's so catchy now to where that's where I build the brand around. Herman Ham, my
Nice.
website, hermanham.com. Like everything is Herman Ham. It's so catchy, you don't forget it. But growing up, let me tell you, it was painful. Kids in middle school, and it could be brutal.
Can't hold no punches. Exactly. Anything, anything.
And then as an adult, I don't even eat pork, and my last name is Ham.
Now that's funny. Let me ask you, Herman, the Herman Ham Group, did that come before DJing? Did you decide to turn this into a business while you were still a promoter?
No, so I started with the DJing. I
Okay.
started DJing, and a neighbor of mine. So once I got into the whole DJing, a neighbor of mine, this guy DJ X, his name is Xavier. His father and him both DJ, and his father goes back to the Studio 8, like the New York City disco days. They got a huge collection, records and everything. And I was doing a little DJing around bars and stuff like that, clubs. And he said, yeah, you might want to start an entertainment company. Me and my dad do it. You make a lot of money doing weddings and stuff, and you're
Yeah.
not really doing the bars, and So I listened to him, and that's what got me into like the entertainment company, which under that umbrella, if you have a wedding, I do the dry ice, the smoke for your wedding, uplighting, it's a whole bunch of other things surrounding DJing. So
Yeah.
honestly, I never went with the it's funny, I never went with the title DJ.
Hmm.
I didn't start in the era where they were carrying crates of records, the Technique 1200s, and so I don't know. At first, it was just Herman Ham. I
Yeah.
never put the DJ on the title, and a few friends of mine, Big Mo, who DJs, shout out to Big Mo in New Haven. He's like, he hear me out playing, and he say, "Dude, stop playing. You're a DJ." And I said, "No, I'm just playing music. I'm doing some parties and playing music. I just felt."
Right.
I'm playing some music and entertaining people, but I didn't really take the title for a while. And he always used to say, "You're a DJ." He used to push me all the time, say, "You better put DJ in that title and stop playing." Like he used to always say that. But yeah, it was always a thing to where I said, like I grew up around so many DJs.
Hmm.
There was so many like DJs that I knew, and I said, I can't really come into this game and try to compete with my business against them. So I
Right.
came in under the entertainment company where I said, hey, if I come in with the lighting and maybe a name on the floor and different things, it will attract people. So in the beginning, a lot of people were attracted by my setups.
And it's a smart business move because you, like you said, you set yourself apart from just being a DJ. Like there's no this. It's not about scratching. It's about providing a whole service, a whole package.
Absolutely.
By the way, a little plug: Herman was a DJ at my wedding. I'm just
Yes. Shout out to you and my man Platinum.
had to put that in there. So take us back. Promoting days. What was the most, or from what you can remember, what was the event or the party that sticks out in your mind that said, this was amazing, this was a great night, this was a great turnout, great success, and this is what I am going to continue to do? Did you have a moment like that?
Yes, I did. A few moments, but I gotta say, and they changed names so much. I gotta think back here. Pearl Lounge, Cheetah Club. I think they were called Gotham at one time, but they were on East Street, down the
Hmm.
street from Van Dome. They switched names a few times. A girl named Joyce used to own it. It switched hands to some other gentleman, but back then I think I saw that I had something. So I started a series that was called Stress Free Saturdays.
Okay.
And I mean, that thing just grew from 50, 100 people to, 400 people. I mean, we're talking about back in my 20s. I used
Okay.
to have 400 or 500 people in this building, at some points 800. So back then, I think Stress Free Saturdays is what kind of said, wow, people like you, people want follow you. And if you provide good, clean, professional entertainment, they're going to come out. So I love the dress code. People used to be dressed, they come out, and the music was good. I always made sure. One thing with me, anything could happen at an event, but you do have some control over it with the tempo you set.
Yeah.
So I used to always have some grown folk music. And I felt, you have that grown music, and people want to dance and come out and dress up, and you just feel good about yourself. So you don't even
Yeah.
want to come out and act up in the club. So I
Absolutely.
knock on wood, man, I got to say, I've had such a long career, and I don't think at the time, I wasn't really, I was a little cocky back then for, I labeled myself king of clubs and, all of this, but I was very happy that, I had a long run with minimal incidents. People
Yeah.
would come out and have a good time and leave. So, I just didn't want to where people could look back and say, oh man, these parties were a wreck and people fighting and, stuff like that. So I got to say I had a long track record. Shout out to everybody in Connecticut and people who have supported my events, because they do come out, have a good time, and it's an adult good time and some fun.
And you're establishing your brand at that point
Yes,
for the grown and sexy crowd.
yes, yes.
You mentioned Big Mo. And I know you know a lot of DJs, but when it comes to your story, your journey, would you say that there are any, other than Big Mo, anyone in particular that stands out to you that helped you along the journey? Like you can't tell Herman Ham's story without mentioning these people.
So let me say this. So Big Mo always said, hey, you're a DJ. But I got to say, my ground start in becoming a DJ, I don't think would have happened without being friends with the Grand Wizard Stevie D, aka Steven Richardson, aka the Grand Wizard
The
Stevie D.
Grand Wizard,
So
absolutely.
I so this was the thing with me, and I've been like this for a long time. I hired Biz back in the day, but in reality, my platform over these whole years that I've been doing this have been using local DJs. I really don't go outside of that. Here and there now, I'm hiring somebody outside that realm, but really, I'm hiring Connecticut DJs. Those are my celebrities. Those are my peers, my friends I grew up with. So I get into a point where I want to get somebody and stick with them and build a relationship.
Yeah.
I've always felt that if you just have parties every week and you're flipping through DJs, one week is this person, this week is that person, I felt you can kind of build more of a relationship when you stick to certain people for a certain amount of time.
Hmm.
So when things really changed for me, and shout out to Juan Castillo, I went up to the radio station one day. I'm talking to Juan Castillo. This is right before a birthday party I was having at this place that was next door to the Schubert Theater, the Palace downtown New Haven on College Street.
Absolutely.
So I go up to YBC. I'm talking to Juan, and Juan knows I'm doing these parties. I got a birthday party coming up that I was doing at the time. I think it was me and Roy Arkell. We were doing a party together, and Juan said, "Yo, you should check my boys out." And I was like, "Who?" He's like, Stevie D, Stevie D and Doc P.
There
Yeah,
you go.
I knew of them, heard of them. I went to some of their parties. And I said, "Okay, let me think about that." I think he gave me their number.
Okay.
I reached out to Stevie D. He did this party for me. And after that, I book a lot of events. So being that I'm on the mic a lot, I hired Stevie to do the DJing. Doc was around for part of that journey, but then,
Mhm.
Stevie was kind of DJing and I was on the mic.
Okay.
So once that happened, going back once again to Club East and those places on East Street, there's 2 floors, there's 3 or 4 different rooms. So Stevie would be in one room, but all the time we didn't have a crowd to pay and hire a DJ for each room. So Stevie bought in a second piece of like DJ equipment, a controller he had, to put this in the other room. We'll hook a laptop up to it, and it'll just be a cool out room. People can go in there, they cool out in the room. I'll be here live DJing. If you want to go over there and mellow out, you go to the other room. We'll have some
Right.
DJ equipment set up in there, but no DJ. So with that going on, instead of him bringing in 2 controllers and 2 different DJ setups, he was like, "Why don't you bring the other one home? And every time we have this party, you bring it back." So every week, I'm bringing it in, and he's coming in with his equipment.
Nice.
So at home, I start playing around. I start
Nice.
playing around on it. And I would go to Stevie's house. He would show me how to DJ on actual Technique 1200. So that's how I learned on his Technique 1200s. But that's really how I learned to my beginning in DJing.
So there was no YouTube at this time, right? You couldn't hop on YouTube and say,
I didn't
"How
go
do
on
I how to
YouTube.
DJ?"
Everything I knew was from I see this was the thing. All my parties I did, and anybody can tell you this, back in that era, I only used Stevie D.
Hmm.
I used Stevie D every week for stress-free Saturdays. He was the only DJ. If I had a big event or something and we needed 2 or 3 DJs, like at one point I bought White Flash into that spot. I bought Billy Bush into that spot. I bought Ron and Dane into that
Hmm.
spot on East Street. But people knew Stevie D was my main DJ. And it probably ticked some promoters off because I had a lot of promoters who said, "Hey, I want you to do a party with me." So they wanted to team up and partner. And I
Yeah,
go, "Okay, I got to bring
this is
Stevie.
my
He's my
DJ,
DJ."
right?
So
Hmm.
I didn't care what they said. And, I used to bring Stevie. So I grew this relationship with Stevie. He, like, he was my DJ almost. It was like every party I did, he DJ'd the party.
That's
So I
awesome.
spent a lot of time with him. And that's a lot of time in his house. He came to my house. And that's really how I started with the DJing.
It's amazing because you experience sometimes egos in business, and this is for both men and women, where
Mhm.
sometimes you just don't want to see someone become successful, especially if they outgrow you. And what I see from you and with the story about Stevie is that's not the case. There's no ego involved. You are willing to work with other DJs and bring people in. Tell me about your journey with that and removing the ego. How does that work for promoters and DJs in your world?
Well, I've always been the type who want to make connections, make relationships, and pull people together, and that's a good, segment to go into because I can remember back when, and rest in peace once again, so many people like that is in my life that isn't here anymore. But a friend of mine, Cashmere,
Mhm.
who also used to be at this club that I was at, Pearl Lounge, he did Neo Soul Thursdays.
Nice.
So years back, I said to myself, there's a lot of egos, and this
Mhm.
is just on the promoter end. Nobody's really working together. So I reached out to Dexter, from Dexter's Barbershop. He, Dominique Vasquez Entertainment. He promote.
Absolutely. Shout out
I
to Dex.
reached out to him. I reached out to the owner of Jazzy's, Jason. Me
Mhm.
and him are good friends, and Cashmere, who's passed away now. So I reached out to them and said, hey, we should come together and do a thing called For Promoters Entertainment. We still do our own thing, but all the holidays we'll do a party together. So MLK, we used to do a
Yeah.
party that weekend.
That's
New
dope.
Year's Eve, all the kind of big holidays. We maybe did 3 or 4 parties a year. I told them one time, I said, hey, we were talking about events that we wanted to do. And I don't know where I saw this event at. Maybe it was on the internet or somewhere out of town, but I told them, I said, I want to do an all black masquerade because
Mm.
people are doing all black parties, but all black masquerade with the mask on. I don't know
Yeah.
where I saw it. I brought it to the table. They all agreed to it, and man, that's been a success. And I still, play around with doing all black masquerades even to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
So
that. I
yeah,
love when you see people that are able to work together.
yeah,
We grow when we unite. And I love that. I
yeah,
love that about this story. So shout out to Stevie D for
yeah.
helping you
Shout out to
in.
Stevie D. And the other DJs. There's been some DJs who, in the beginning, was very vocal. Like I said, Xavier, my old neighbor. I knew nothing about, like, I work on a laptop, but as far as DJing and Serato and all of that stuff, man, Ron, my boy Ron and Dane. I used to
Yeah.
Dane would say, "Come down here, sit down with me." He showed me a laptop, and then I went into a Mac, which was Macs are just a whole nother thing. So he
Uh-huh.
showed me how to work that. I can remember even with like platinum with a lot of people. I used to call these guys, and I'm like, I'm at a wedding, and I need this song for this wedding, and platinum would email me a song while I'm at the wedding. I knew nothing about downloading this stuff. It was very, in the early years. So a lot
Yeah.
of DJs I used to call who were very supportive in the beginning.
And with DJing, stepping away from promoting, with DJing, it seems like you just said, you have to stay ahead of the game because things seem to change a lot in that world.
Yes. Things change a lot. And I'm telling you, this is, I tell this story all the time. When I first started DJing, I was so nervous coming into this because there's big, like I said, there's big time DJs who were out years and years before me. So I'm saying, like, how am I going to come onto the scene? How am I
Mhm.
going to get hired by people who are just going to start calling me when they've been calling these other DJs for years and years? So, like I said, that's what really pushed me into entertainment company.
Yeah.
So I've had some people who would hire me for their wedding and say, my cousin's going to kill me. He's a DJ, but he don't have these uplights you have. He don't got the name on the floor. He don't have this smoke for my first dance.
Nice.
So I that was my hook. My hook wasn't DJ Herman Ham. It was Herman Ham of Herman Ham Group. And it threw
Entertainment.
people off because they see the group and they're like, okay, does this guy have like 15, 20 people working for him? They think,
Yeah.
which I do, you have to trust people. I
Mhm.
do have DJs that will work under me where I book 2 and 3 events or weddings, and I call them to cover an event for me, which is a big thing to do because when the person goes there, you want them to represent your brand.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
So you have
it's
to be selective about who you choose to
absolutely.
cover. That was I kind of feel like I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Was this your vision when you first started seeing it grow so immensely and having Herman Ham Group to now you can recommend other DJs? You have this uplighting the where you are now. Was this what you saw?
I don't know if I saw this. I'm gonna be honest. I've never seen it growing to where it's at now. I've never seen my name like, as a DJ. I don't know. Early on, I never sat back and said, you know what? Yeah, I'm a DJ. I'm gonna come out here and kill this market. I've never seen that or saw
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
vision. And for
Yeah.
my name to be, mentioned right now with, I mean, the top DJs that are out here is I sit back and think about it sometimes, like, wow, I mean, these are guys I love and grew up with, and just to be considered in
Yeah.
in that circle of DJs who are the top DJs in Connecticut, is something, that I still haven't grasped. But I didn't see this. I didn't, I
It's
knew
the
I was
whole
popular.
right.
One thing that I knew was going for me was my popularity. I was very popular, like I said, with the breakdancing, graffiti, just all of that stuff, and then promoting. You have so many people that follow you as a promoter for the parties. A lot
Mhm.
of them are who call me now for events.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not just the DJing, the promoting, turning it into a business. It's a business. It's a
Yes.
business
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
business.
thriving. You've created a whole brand. And you mentioned back when you had to take the scissors and cut the dreads during the pandemic.
Yes.
And that time, DJs had to find another way to make it because the clubs weren't open. No one was doing anything. So that's when I said it's always changing in the world of a DJ. You found a way to continue going, which is it speaks to your level of business as the businessman. Talk to us about what you did to stay afloat during the pandemic.
So yeah, so the pandemic hit, and let me tell you, that was also a scary time because you never knew what was going to happen. I was a
Mhm.
DJ, and luckily I was still working for a limo company, but there was no limos, there was no flights going out the
We
airport,
was
so
in
I
the
was
house.
shut down completely.
Exactly.
So I'm sitting home and I'm like, man, I still love DJing. I go in my basement one day, I turn on Facebook and I'm DJing on Facebook Live. And I get a few people up there. The following week, a few more people, to the point where it grew to hundreds watching me
Wow.
DJ on Facebook Live. So I'd be DJing on Facebook Live. A lot of people were watching me. It was such a fun time. And then I sat back and I said to myself, churches are missing something. They can't go to
Mm.
church. So you can't go to church. And that's my upbringing. So first thing I thought about was, wow, you can't go to church. So that was in my mind for a while, and I didn't do anything with it. I'm going to say I didn't act on it.
Okay.
So I started DJing one time, and a person I can't remember who was on my chat said, "Hey, you should mix in some gospel songs." I'm saying to myself, I'm not mixing gospel songs with hip hop, with R&B. If I sat back and thought about that, I said, nah. So one time I was DJing and I had a certain BPM, going with beats per minute.
I was about to say beats per minute, just in
Beats
case you
per
don't know.
minute. So I went to songs like Mary, Mary Walking, stuff
Mhm.
like Kirk Franklin, who has that R&B feel. And I
Right.
mixed it in with a couple of songs and people were blown away. They were like, yo, did you mix in Mary, Mary? They were blown away by it and they loved it. So after I did that, I said to myself, it was it may have been like a Tuesday or Wednesday. I said, Sunday, I'm going to go on and I'm going to do something called gospel brunch. So I
Mm.
went on, I did gospel brunch. It was like 3 or 4 hours, huge crowd. The crowd for gospel brunch was bigger than the crowd that I was having all week long
Of
for the
course.
R&B.
Mhm.
At one point, I went online to do gospel brunch, and I might have had 100 or maybe 100 people following me for the R&B. And I went on one Sunday for gospel brunch. I think it was 700 or 800 people. I couldn't even
Wow.
believe it. Tons of people
Wow.
came, and it might have been like an Easter Sunday or something like that.
Mhm.
It's 700, 800 people for gospel brunch. So that was like, wow. It was, and at that, like back then, you're not making any money. I didn't have a
Right.
cash app up on my page.
Mhm.
So, it was like, okay, I'm just home. I'm not making money. I, didn't have a cash app on my page. So what happened, I started thinking back then, And I said, you know what? I created a name. It was called Quarantine Lounge. And
Mm-hmm.
back then, D Nice was on Instagram. He was huge on Instagram.
Yeah, he was.
So I was kind of like the D Nice here on Facebook. So what I did was I came out with these shirts. I had these shirts, HHG for Herman Ham Group Quarantine Lounge. I wore one on a stream while I was DJing, and I probably had 50 people on this page say, "What's up with that shirt? I want that shirt." And I sold. I maybe like even to this day is I see people out with the shirt on. I probably sold 1,500 shirts. That was
I
like
love
my
it.
only supplemental income back then. Because it was like you said, it was no work. You know, you had to be on unemployment or something. There was no
Mm-hmm.
work. I sold maybe 1,500 to 2,000 t-shirts. So that was my thing then, with Facebook. And then Facebook started shutting people down. They didn't want you to DJ on Facebook, so it was copyright.
There you go.
So
Copyright
I
infringement.
said, man, I didn't grew this whole crowd, and now we're shut down. So I think I went through a little dark stage then. I
I
kind
think
of like,
everyone did, Herman. You have to
yeah,
adjust.
because you're opening up this platform for people. And let me say, it wasn't about me. So this platform wasn't about, Herman Ham, the DJ. At the time, I thought I was just playing music. So to me, I love music and I'm just playing music. So I played music on there. And when I started getting inboxes from people, let me tell you, that took me back. I used to get people inbox me saying, my husband, I had a friend of mine, she said, my husband died 2 weeks ago from COVID. And let me tell
Mhm.
you something, the gospel, I'm there every week. Please don't stop it. That got me by. I had people who had sick loved ones, people who couldn't visit loved ones. You had to stay at home. You couldn't even go
Yeah.
visit your mother or somebody, everybody was in their own house. So people were just telling me how much the streams were doing for them. And I really started looking into it because I had so many people just inboxing me saying, look, give me a cash app. You're up here 4, 5, 6 hours, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, no, I'm just doing this, for the fun of it. And that's
Mhm.
why I started with the t-shirts. And then when the copyright hit, it was like, oh boy, here we go. It's
Yeah.
the end.
Ever changing for the DJ. I'm telling you.
Ever changing. So it was like I can remember sitting around for months and months, and I said, I guess it's over. It's a wrap. And I was still trying to go on Facebook, and I had people logging onto my page 4 or 5 times just to do one stream because 20 minutes into it, they shut you down. I got to tell
Yeah.
everybody, hey, come back on. They come back
Yeah.
on.
Come on. I had to refresh the page.
Exactly, refresh the
Mhm.
page. So I can remember another DJ, Craig G. He called me and he was like, "Dude, get off Facebook. They keep shutting it down. There's this new streaming platform called Twitch." And
Yeah.
let me tell you, that was like twisting my arm. I was like, "Twitch, another password, another app you got to download. How am I going to build an audience on Twitch? These Facebook
Yeah.
people are my Connecticut friends.
Yeah.
Twitch is something totally different." So I went over to Twitch, and let me tell you, it's been an amazing ride on Twitch.
Yeah, because you're still doing it to this day,
To
right?
this day, over
Yep.
5,000 followers on Twitch.
Nice.
Um,
Have you made partner with them
no, I haven't made partner, but I don't think I'm pushing for
for that?
partner. You
Okay.
have to do certain things. You have to stream for a certain amount of hours. You got to keep a certain amount of people on your page.
Yeah.
So being when the world opened up, I DJ so much, I'm not on Twitch
Okay.
enough to become partner.
Okay.
So
Which
I'm
I mean,
not,
but you
but
it's not like you need it, you're not hurting, you're booked and busy.
yeah, I'm booked and busy. And I got a lot of followers. And the thing with Twitch that took me back, I bought a handful of people from Facebook, not a lot, under
Mhm.
100. I mean, I may have bought 30, 40 people. With over 5,000 viewers, most of those viewers are from all over the world,
Yeah.
Australia, London, down south, Providence, Rhode Island, like all over the place,
Mhm.
Dubai. You have people popping in there from all over the world. So even though I have over 5,000 viewers, most of them are international. They're all over the world. So it's not people I can market my business to.
Gotcha.
These aren't people that are really with over 5,000 viewers. You figure, okay, he's got a whole bunch of business coming from Twitch. I don't, because the people aren't right here in Connecticut.
But you do, which was a part of what I was going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
You take your business, you do parties outside of Connecticut. Don't you
Well,
travel?
well,
And
no, yeah. So I do parties outside of Connecticut. I've done a few. I DJ'd for actually the members. I don't want to say Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, but I actually DJ for Love and Hip Hop Atlanta members. I DJ'd alongside Stevie J.
Mhm.
A bunch of them. They used to do mansion parties in Orlando. So I would fly into Orlando, do their parties. I did about 3 or 4 parties for them. I just got back from Texas. Shout out to my homegirl Devon. She has a boxing. She does boxing. So she
Elephant in
actually
the
went
room, right?
elephant in the room.
Mhm.
She went to West Palm Beach, and I was honored for her to say, you know what, I want you to come to West Palm and DJ my boxing matches. So I went to West Palm Beach. I DJ'd that, and I do a lot of weddings, or people from here who moved out of town.
Mhm.
I'll go out of town, do a lot of weddings, or 4th of July parties, stuff like that.
So I know you have clearly defined what your brand is, but from a person on the outside looking in, I would say your brand is definitely associated with a good time, a professional time, and a grown time. That's what you
Yeah.
get from Herman Ham event. And you have a couple of those events coming up. One is the spring. You see how I did that for you? So
Yo,
that's
yeah, yes.
one is the spring fling, and one is your birthday party that has grown into something spectacular. So, first, let's talk about spring fling. Tell us about that
Okay.
one.
So spring fling. So I try to limit myself to maybe 2, 3 parties a year only. The white party, the all
Mhm.
black masquerade, and I started doing a sneaker ball. That was it. So, I do have a love for other DJs. And during the pandemic, there was one person who I followed on Facebook. He's on TikTok now. And that's really where that spring fling birthed. And that was DJ Cleve. So
Okay.
DJ Cleve is a huge, huge DJ in the South. So you think about the DJs, here on the, west on the East Coast,
Hmm.
New York, and these big D time DJs. He's a huge DJ. I think I would used to watch his Facebook lives. He would have 3,000 people watching him
Wow.
during the pandemic. And I said, man, this dude's killing. I thought I was doing something with 400 or 500 people. He would have thousands
Nice.
watching him on Facebook, DJ Cleve. So I saw him promote on his page that he was doing something called R&B only. So he was doing this tour. He was going all over the place with the R&B only tour. So I reached out to his camp, said, hey, he's never been to Connecticut. Said,
Hmm.
what would it take to get him here? And everything worked out. I have him coming here on the 20th, alongside DJ Juan Coon, DJ Billy Bush, and the one and only, the finisher, DJ Mr. C, New York City, who, DJed
Nice.
for Big Daddy Kane and Biggie. So that's where the spring fling came from. It really is just going to be based around DJs and a good time. And
Hmm.
that's May 20th at Terminal 110.
Nice. And how do people get tickets for that one?
They can get tickets on Eventbrite, Spring Fling on Eventbrite. And at any time they can go to my website. I got a new website coming out, but the white party's up there.
Mhm.
But just to access me, my website, they can go up there, hermanham.com, to get information on my events, or they can call me, 203-943-6067 to get tickets.
Nice.
Because I have some women in Hartford, New Haven, and Fairfield County selling tickets, but also on Eventbrite.
And talk to me about this white party that you do for your birthday every year. Talk to us
The
about
white
its inception, how it started.
the white party is that, man, that's my baby there.
I can
Like, so
tell by the
once
way you're
again,
blushing.
everything starts Club East. I keep
Okay.
saying Club East, Pearl Lounge, down the street from Van Dome.
Mhm.
So I'm doing stress-free Saturdays, and I've been doing birthday parties for more than 13 years. I just random. I was in a motorcycle club. I was president of a motorcycle club from 2000 to 2010. So I used to
Wow.
do a birthday party since back then. All the bike club members would come to my parties. Shout out to East Coast Navigators in Norwalk, Connecticut. That I still keep in touch with them. I'm actually doing a party for them in a couple of months. But I've been doing parties since back then. So I've been doing birthday parties every year for my birthday since I can remember in my 20s. And they were okay. They were good. People come in there, sneakers, hats, whatever, it was whatever they want to wear. They would just come in with no dress code.
Right.
So when Club East, when I started doing parties there, I said, I'm going to do another birthday party. I was at Club East doing stress-free Saturdays. So I did a birthday party. It wasn't a white party. It was just a birthday party. So this is going back 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
I did a birthday party and it was nice, but still, it was just okay. To me, it was a nice party, but it wasn't anything that I felt would go blazing into the future. It was just me doing a party. Some people come. If they're busy, they're not going to come. It was that type of thing. I think I had maybe 100 people there.
Okay.
So that following year, and before my next birthday, I'm seeing P. Diddy. And P. Diddy's the king of the white party.
Yes, he is.
That white party. I'm telling you, I looked at that white party and I said, you know what? I'm going to change my birthday party to a white party. So I did it the first year. Nice turnout. Next year, double the numbers. Next year, triple the numbers. And people just love that white party, the theme. It's a grown and sexy event. You get rid of someone coming in there, with camouflage or with a hoodie on. Let me tell you, it's just every year after year after year, that white party has grown. People who move away from Connecticut fly back
for the white party.
Where's the white party? Because I'm going on vacation in June. There's an actual phone calls where people are like, I'm going on vacation in June. When is your white party? Because I want to make sure
they're planning around it. Wow.
Around it. Let me tell you, and this isn't, shout out to promoters, people who support that party. I've had promoters who call me and say, what day is your white party? Yeah, I'm not doing a party on the same day. It's just like, it's an honor to hear people speak like that, who just respect what you do. And, and they know that I'm not in a era where it's cockiness.
Right.
I support people when I can. I like nowadays I can't support a lot of people because I'm DJing so much. Mm-hmm. But back before I was DJing a lot, I used to support everybody's event. So I've had people who would call me and say, listen, when is your white party? I want to make sure I'm there. I don't want to do a party on the day of yours because I want to be at your white party. Nice. So my thing with the white party back then, once again, I always have something in mind to make myself different or to go about things differently. Mm-hmm. So I said to myself in the beginning, I want to do this white party. I want to make it successful. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try to grab the hottest DJs in every area and have them at this white party on that day. So even if someone thought about doing a white party,
they can't get the DJ
at this white party. So I'm a person that stick to relationships.
Yeah.
Shout out to the team behind the white party. They have been doing it since day one. The same people. Mm-hmm. I've added a few people now, but I don't change. Ron and Dane, they were the biggest thing in that Hartford area. I have them doing the white party. They've been doing it since day one. Mm-hmm. Rashawn Langley, who I'm good friends with, I've always wanted a band to open up. He's been doing it since day one. Mm-hmm. Juan Kuhn, me and Juan's friendship, I don't even want to say relationship as a DJ because me and him were friends. I lived in Norwalk for a number of years in the 90s. Juan used to DJ my bike club parties. So I've known Juan since back then. Juan Kuhn is on my white party. Now, when I go into new people, I added Rawls, who's been doing it for a few years. I added him in a few years ago. Mm-hmm. But over the years, there's been different people, Billy Bush, Flash, but, just people who have been every single year.
Yeah.
Was Ron and Dane, was Rashawn Langley, was Juan Kuhn.
Yep.
So now, it's growing. So I have DJ Chaotic, DJ Chance out of Hartford.
Mm-hmm.
Craig G's on the bill this year. DJ Platinum's on the bill this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's grown to a place where, we were doing nightclubs, big numbers,
Yeah.
and I kind of just saw where I wanted a change. And once again, shout out to Juan Castillo. I think he was booking a day party or something. He was like, "Yo, I'm booking this party, and I'm going to go over to the Oakdale. I'm booking this party at Oakdale. Maybe you can come over there and talk to him about your white party." And I'm going like,
Yeah.
"The Oakdale white party?" I don't know. Because look, I'm just not this dude to sit back and be that cocky. Yeah, I could pull it off. I said, the Oakdale's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking, like, how am I pull this off with, okay, I'm getting anywhere from 800 to 1,000 people at clubs, but you got to do something different when you go to the Oakdale and you're paying the prices that the Oakdale want. So
Absolutely.
Juan brought me in there. He plugged me in with them. I had a conversation. We sat down. I can remember I was calling them and texting them. They wanted to block my number because it was just. I would say, "How's this going to go? How's this? How are we going to do this?" And it was like they were like they didn't understand where the white party already was.
Right.
So being a year in advance, they're looking at me like, "Dude, calm down. It's July. It's August. This party next year." They were saying this to me. We don't start planning. I'm saying like, "Hey, I need to start sending you VIP." We don't start doing this until maybe 3 months before your event. Like, well, you slow down. Like seriously, I was like,
So you had to show them. I have to show you how real it is. Mm-hmm.
They thought I was crazy. And then after the party, they said, "Okay, I
You
see
get it.
what you're talking about." Because
So when is this year's party? What's the
June
date?
24th.
June 24th.
June
And they could get
24th,
info.
Oakdale Music Theater,
Okay.
6 p.m. to midnight.
I know
Yeah.
that's right. And the real quick, the masquerade, all black masquerade. When do you do that one?
That's around Halloween. So
Halloween.
in that Halloween area, the Saturday around Halloween.
This is Herman Ham. Herman, we have been talking for almost an hour right
Listen, and
now.
we're friends, so it feel like I just feel like I'm in my living room, dude. We just sit down.
I always say these are the type of interviews I wish I could do live because I could just go and go. I have so much I want to ask you, but time is limited, so I'm going to
Yeah.
wrap up with this. Yes, I do think that you would be great at a master class or something, teaching people what you do about the business. So I would like for you to give a very brief master class, keeping it as short as possible, and just drop one thing you would give to someone that is considering starting an entertainment company, becoming a promoter or a DJ. What would you tell them? Most important advice or whatever you choose to. What do you want to leave them with?
I would say professionalism. A lot of people watch you. You don't know who's watching you on Facebook, social media. So I just think before anything, if people have a certain negative outlook on you, they might not even pick up a phone and call you. There's so many people approach me in a Stop and Shop or ladies maybe late 60s, 70s. I follow you on Facebook, and I'm going, really? Like for real? I'm in here getting my oatmeal or something, and the lady comes up to me and says, "Yo, I'm following you on Facebook." And even clients. I mean, I have an upcoming event. I don't know the date, but it's like on the Green in Hamden, and the gentleman who I'm doing the event with, we're talking about the event, and he busts out and said, start talking about plants. He was like, I'm a plant person too, from one plant person to another. And I'm thinking like, I wonder how you knew about the plant. He follows me. And you can see in the background, let me tell you, one of my hobbies, I've gotten into a love of plants. To keep them alive, and I probably got like 30 plants right now in my house.
Yeah, that's a skill. I don't have that green thumb. My mother does, but please do not. I even tell my husband when it comes to Valentine's Day, don't buy me nothing that's alive because I don't know how to keep
Give me
it.
some candy. I don't want to play.
Exactly. Give me a teddy bear.
but definitely just professionalism, because I think that's where it starts. Everybody think they want to jump into this market and just make money.
Right.
And to me, it's not just about making money. It's about being professional. And you got to think about that. So it's big. it's big to know the business end of it. And shout out to the teachers at Highville. I did a brief, they bring firemen in there or policemen. They have a day where they bring different people. And I actually did something at Highville Charter School in Hamden and
Mhm.
spoke to the kids. And I didn't jump in there and I had my DJ set in front of me,
Yeah.
speakers, and kids, you have to get their attention.
Hmm.
So the first thing I didn't do was go in there and just be like, "Hey, come up here. This is how you scratch." And this, no, I said, "Look, there's a business. I pay taxes. I have a professional business, and you got to pass. You got to do your stuff in school. You got to be smart. You can't have a
Right.
business if you're not smart. How you going to
Absolutely.
know if you're getting ripped off or not?" So my thing was always just the professional end of it. The
Hmm.
DJing comes after that because there's a lot of DJs, but to run a business is
That is
different.
correct. That is different.
People want to hire professionals. I want this man to show up to my wedding in a suit,
Mm.
not in a wife beater or
And
or
some Tims.
shirt. I've seen
I
it.
understand.
I'm just saying, people want professionalism. I've DJ'd for the former mayor. I do gospel events right now,
Hmm.
DCF events for the foster kids. So, that really comes from people seeing you as a professional and trusting you.
Right. And you set the tone. You set the tone for what you bring so people come to you for what you bring.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop, or I'm gonna end up at like a whole hour and a half. This is Herman Ham.
We're going to go through dinner time.
This is Herman Ham. If you missed any of this, please run it back. The video will be posted on our social media sites. You can go there and check it out. Make sure you are around if you want to know what he's talking about. Experience the white party. You got to get your tickets so you could be at the Oakdale. And make sure you're listening to YBC because we might sneak in a couple of opportunities for you to win some tickets, but you got to keep it locked in for that. Make sure you join me back here again next Sunday for another great conversation on the electric drum. I can't promise it's going to be this long because I enjoy talking to this
Hey,
brother
and I,
right
and
here.
I appreciate you having me. You and the whole YBC family. Definitely shout out to everybody down at YBC, and I appreciate you having me on your show.
Absolutely. We learned a lot today. Herman, we thank you. We thank you. And listeners, you keep it locked. You have more R&B coming in right after this. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. This has been The Electric Drum. I'm Wanda Coppage. Be blessed.